This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Kia ora, good evening. I'm Simon Anderson. 3 men rescued from an island beach in the Southern Ocean after their helicopter crashed into the sea have walked into Southland Hospital unaided. The men, who work for Southern Lakes Helicopters, arrived in 2 helicopters just before 4 this afternoon. Pilot Andrew Hefford, paramedic John Lambeth, and winch operator Lester Stevens had been helping with the medical evacuation of a person from a ship near Maraki Island yesterday when the helicopter crashed near the Auckland Islands, 465 kilometres south of New Zealand. Southern Lakes Helicopters raised the alarm in the evening after communication with the helicopter was lost. The company's owner and chief pilot, Sir Richard Hayes, located the trio walking on a beach on the northeastern side of Enderby Island this morning. Southern Lakes Helicopters operations manager, Lloyd Matheson, has described the trio as walking wounded. Hefford was unscathed, Lambeth had suffered a limb injury, and Stevens was knocked unconscious on impact. The other 2 had pulled him from the wrecked helicopter and taken him ashore. All the men had spoken to their families by satellite phone. Police are remaining tight-lipped after one of their patrol cars crashed into a house during pursuit in Invercargill yesterday. The incident occurred after a fleeing driver dodged road spikes only to hit a police patrol car soon after to send it smashing into a house in the suburb of Windsor. Police had earlier been called to a family harm incident. No one was seriously injured in the incident, and the fleeing driver was arrested at the scene. A van was also lying on its side on the footpath, but police haven't yet explained its involvement in the incident. The backers of 2 special housing areas proposed for Queenstown's Ladies Mile say they're devastated they've been rejected. Queenstown Lakes District Councillors voted to decline the Glen Panel Flint's Park and Laurel Hills proposals at a recent council meeting.
All eyes on the QLDC. A packed public gallery watched Queenstown Lakes District Councillors turn down an application to build more than 150 homes at Laurel Hill and Flint's Park. While he agrees with the decision, Shotover Country Community Association Chairman Clark Perry says it's a tough call for councillors.
It's difficult for the councillors. They're in a really tough position. I think they've made the right decisions, considering what's in front of them and the growth pains that we're experiencing in the community. I think it's right for them to take a step back and retain a significantly greater measure of control over the development of the Ladies Mile.
Council was unanimous in turning down the 156-home Laurel Hills special housing area, but the vote on 2 proposed areas, which would provide 400 houses, was split, but still turned down, with 4 in favour and 6 against. Frankton resident Kevin Conahan believes the New Zealand Transport Agency was under pressure from the previous government and built a bridge in the wrong place.
I think that they were under some pressure from the last government to get that new bridge built. When they did, I think it would have been better if it was tested. They could have done more to look at whether it was in the right place.
Flint's Park backer Lindsay Top says the council has missed a great opportunity to provide much needed affordable housing in the area, and it isn't taking advantage of the government's $24 million housing infrastructure fund to build new infrastructure along Ladies Mile. Queenstown Mayor Jim Bolt told developers their proposals are fair and reasonable, but says the New Zealand Transport Agency has dropped the ball completely in addressing the area's traffic issues.
And I'm just really uncomfortable with throwing more and more traffic onto that road until we have a concrete plan in front of us from NZTA which addresses crossing the Shotover River both by motor car, motor vehicle and by active transport. We don't have that at the present time and I'm thoroughly disappointed.
The 600-home Coneburn development near Hanley's Farm has been approved. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Dunedin climate change activists Extinction Rebellion came out in force over the Easter weekend. They joined an international protest raising awareness of sea level rise by staging a dinner party in the ocean and walking through Dunedin streets ready for a swim. The group is just starting out in New Zealand, with protesters briefly bringing traffic to a halt at a central Auckland intersection last week. The protests in New Zealand are fairly tame compared to the British counterparts. There have been more than 1,000 arrests across London as the Extinction Rebellion protests reach their 8th day. Organisers describe it as the biggest civil disobedience event in recent British history. Dark clouds, persistent rain and a false start didn't slow the pace of athletes competing in the inaugural Lap of Lake Hayes race near Queenstown over the long weekend. Around 40 runners took part in the 8-kilometre loop, where winners smashed officials' predictions of how long it would take them to finish the undulating country course.
They may have got off to a false start, but there was every reason to impress in the inaugural Lap of Lake Hayes race near Queenstown over the long weekend. New Zealand running royalty watching on in the form of Rod Dixon and Lorraine Moller, who just happened to be in town for the weekend. Dixon, a big believer in community events.
It's a wee bit like the farmers market. It's about local farmers, local people, local shoppers, local produce. And so we've got to get back to this. This is the core of the country, is back to community.
The event is the brainchild of Queenstown Athletics President and Wakatipu High School coach Neville Britton.
Some of the high school kids that I coach at the school do this as a bit of a time trial training run, and on Strava, which is a web-based app, they noticed that they held the current fastest all-time record around here, and some of the other runners that run it are pretty elite. So we decided, well, we need to have an event to recognise the actual record.
From there, the race was born with around 40 runners taking part in the 8-kilometre loop. But Britton says while it attracted some of the best athletes in the region, it's also about trying to combat an increasingly inactive population.
You know, we're getting lazy. You know, we're not chopping wood anymore. You know, we're not running to catch buses. You know, and the sport is dying, and we're getting more people becoming sports experts on couches and not participating.
A sentiment echoed by Dixon, who says holding running events at a local level encourages children to be active and healthy.
We've got together with people that I haven't seen for 20 and 30 years, and we've met down here to come together because we're all invested in helping the next generation be the best that they can be.
For the record, Dunedin's Margie Campbell took out the Women's Open Trophy with a time of 29 minutes and 16 seconds, while Cromwell's Daniel Belchin won the Open Men's title with a tidy 25 minutes 18. And with the competition in its first year, winners now hold the official records. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. A South Otago town becomes a hub for Scottish country dancing, and a former Cadbury employee remembers the day the wages were stolen in the 1970s.
All new episodes of Put Some Colour in Your Life are now screening on Channel 39. Take a look at Australian artists and the techniques they use in their studio. Put Some Colour in Your Life, Tuesdays, 7:30.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
At Green Island Medical Centre, we are committed in caring for our future and present generations. We know as a young person, coming to the doctors can be quite daunting. Our highly skilled doctors and nurses will make your experience one where you will leave with a smile. Your health is very important to us.
Every Kiwi deserves a reliable garage door. Rely on Garrador to protect your important stuff. Just like Darren. His Garrador keeps his favourite ride in mint condition. We have a huge range at affordable prices. Visit our website for a free consultation. We stand behind every door.
When it's time to say goodbye to your pet, Heaven Sent Pet Cremations are here to help you through this difficult experience. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today for their care and guidance. Phone 489 2274.
At the Hard to Find Bookshop, we sell quality books on all subjects from the rare to the recent, and where viable, we will come to you. We have a great reputation for integrity and honesty, so if you're downsizing or sorting an estate and have books to sell, contact us.
step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Oh, help! Don't suffer in silence. Call Sunny Chin, Chi Master Body Technician, for structural, muscular, emotional bodywork. Phone 03 4250 606 for all your pain relief.
Shall I make some scones?
Nau mai anō, welcome back. Owaka Memorial Community Hall has been echoing to the beat of the Highlands. The South Island branch of the Royal Scottish Country Dance Society held a 4-day Easter dance school in the Catlins town, which ended yesterday with a combined class ensemble. About 70 attendees from as far afield as Queensland came together for the Southern Festival of Dance. The participants honed their skills in small groups led by teachers from across New Zealand before uniting for yesterday's grand finale. The event was organised by Lawrence's Scottish Country Dance Group teacher, Quentin Currell. He says the Scottish country dance community continues to grow in South Otago. Dancers in Lawrence and Waitahuna are scheduled for next month, with the club continuing to meet every Wednesday. It was the first of its kind in Dunedin, a brazen, armed hold-up by a gunman who made off with Cadbury's entire weekly payroll, worth $53,000. Now, as the 40th anniversary of the heist approaches, the case file remains open. ODT reporter Chris Morris spoke with one of the workers who was there at the time.
Well, 40 years ago, it takes a bit to remember, but I do remember that it was the day after my birthday, and one of the staff, Runa Chesney, was getting morning tea, which I was apparently shouting for the staff. So I remember that, and Runa remembers the incident quite vividly because she went out in the car to get the morning tea, and she'd parked just across the road there by the entranceway, and she thought when she came back, I'll be lucky to get the same park. And there was a car on the driveway, the entranceway, and she thought, well, I'll go up next to that and reverse back in. And she happened to look into the car, and this guy was sitting there with a sort of balaclava down around his neck, and she said he had a very, very white face. He looked scared stiff, and she didn't give it too much thought. She said, oh, perhaps he's not too well, and reversed back into the car park, and I guess got my morning tea out and went up to the office. And in those days the head office was in Castle Street, 30 Castle Street, and you went upstairs to the reception. So she went up there, and she said that she was desperate to go to the toilet, so she went away into the toilet. And when she actually got back, the whole incident was over. The security chap that was had the payroll, there's normally two of them, but on this day there was only one, and he hopped out of the car and was only about the second step up the stairs to reception when he was accosted and was relieved of the payroll, which was in excess of £50,000, which in 1979 obviously was a very sizable sum of money. Never found the brown suitcase I was talking about. It was found on the beach at Meraki, and it was smouldering. He had obviously taken the cash out and lit fire to the suitcase, and that was the remains of it. There was many theories as to what happened. There were some theories that it was an inside job, but I'm certain that wasn't the case. There's other theories that the guy got the money and it went to Australia and ended up in the drug trade, which I guess by today's standards was in its earlier stages, but that to me makes quite a bit of sense. I think it could have happened. Who knows?
After the break on the South Today, an anticipated Lime scooter race becomes a bit of a drag, and tables are turned in a Southern Lakes Rugby Derby.
The Green Island Medical Centre offers everything for your family's needs. Whether you are travelling or coming in to discuss health symptoms, our medical staff provide the best of care. We offer Manage My Health, making booking an appointment or requesting a repeat prescription a breeze. We welcome families like yours. Give us a call today, phone 03 488 2754.
Autumn is here and it's too late to sow seed. But don't despair, Ready Lawn is the answer to all your garden woes. Call Ready Lawn today on 027 22 88 190.
At the Hard to Find Bookshop, we sell quality books on all subjects from the rare to the recent. And where viable, we will come to you. We have a great reputation for integrity and honesty, so if you're downsizing or sorting an estate and have books to sell, contact us.
Most of us have spots on our skin. That's quite normal. Finding skin cancer as early as possible is key to successful treatment. Book in for a free check of 1 to 2 moles or a comprehensive full body check with the Mole Doctor in Waverley.
When it's time to say goodbye to your pet, Heaven Sent Pet Cremations are here to help you through this difficult experience. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today for their care and guidance. Phone 489 2274.
Every Kiwi deserves a reliable garage door. Rely on Garradoor to protect your important stuff. Just like Darren. His Garradoor keeps his favourite ride in mint condition. We have a huge range at affordable prices. Visit our website for a free consultation. We stand behind every door.
Oh, help! Don't suffer in silence. Call Sunny Chin, Chi Master Body Technician for structural, muscular, emotional bodywork. Phone 03 4250 606 for all your pain relief.
Ricky here from Beds R Us Dunedin, your local sleep specialists. Come in and try our huge touchscreen sleep selector, taking the hard work out of choosing the right bed for you. See you here.
Step into Shop on Carol and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole Map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Thanks for staying with us. A lime scooter drag race through the streets of Dunedin yesterday was more intimate than expected. The field of entrance was significantly smaller than the Facebook event page indicated after more than 650 people clicked attending. Just two students, Luke Beer and Levi Milton, ended up racing each other on e-scooters around the student quarter. Beer says he's not surprised people didn't turn up, as it's an example of people getting excited about a meme on the internet which doesn't translate to actual attendance. Beer claimed victory in the race. The Highlanders will be without co-captain Ben Smith for the match against the Sunwolves in Tokyo this Friday night. It's the side's first and most probably last game against the Sunwolves in Japan. The side arrived in Tokyo last night, but Smith has stayed home in adherence with the All Blacks rules this year, which state incumbents must have 2 games off during the season. The Highlanders match was originally scheduled to be played on Saturday, but has been moved forward to Friday night and will kick off at 10 p.m. New Zealand time. Staying with rugby, and the rival coaches were as bemused as the home crowd after Wakatipu pulled off a stunning comeback victory in one of the White Horse Cup in one of the great White Horse Cup contests at Jack Reed Park in Arrowtown on Saturday. By the time Arrowtown took a 6-point lead approaching the 3-quarter mark, a local victory seemed assured, but it wasn't to be.
Not even a stray dog could halt the momentum of the Wakatipu rugby team as it pulled off a remarkable come-from-behind victory against rivals Arrowtown in Saturday's White Horse Cup thriller. Up 19-13 with 20 minutes to play, Arrowtown were dominating the match and there didn't seem any way back for the challengers. But a breakaway try from inside their own half saw the visitors take a 1-point lead, which they clung on to until the final whistle.
We got out of jail a lot of times, like Arrowtown. They sort of botched a couple of chances which they'll be annoyed with. So, it could have been anyone's.
The Wakatipu victory spoiling Arrowtown's 30th anniversary celebrations.
First half was, we were doing a lot of defence and then the odd scored when we could. And then the second half, we could have been ours, we could have just plugged the corners and stuff, but a few silly errors. But when we did look like holding on to the ball, we scored points. But other than that, we just let them in.
Wakatipu assistant coach Brett Anderson, who came on as a replacement during the dramatic final quarter, says it was a contest where there didn't deserve to be a loser.
We're up against one of the best 4-packs in the comp today with a great line out and also a great scrum, so it's a real learning lesson.
And making his first appearance for Wakatipu despite growing up in Queenstown was Blues and Otago fullback Michael Collins, who had the weekend off from Super Rugby duties.
It's obviously sort of played on my junior rugby here, and then obviously Dad's had a big part of this club. My brother's played for a few years, so it was always a goal to come back and play.
And despite the disappointment for Arrowtown, if all goes to plan, they should get a White Horse Challenge in Queenstown in mid-June. In Arrowtown, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. 3 men rescued from an Auckland Island beach in the Southern Ocean are safely back on terra firma after their helicopter crashed into the ocean. The backers of 2 special housing areas proposed for Queenstown are disappointed their plans were rejected, while some residents are happy. And persistent rain didn't slow the pace of athletes competing in the inaugural Lake Hayes running race, held near Queenstown at the weekend. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Hayden Meikle.
Good evening, Simon. How are you? I may say it's great to see you with a poppy. I'm sorry I haven't got mine. That'll be one of tomorrow's jobs. Let's have a look at tomorrow's ODT. So helicopters again after today's very powerful page 1 story on the helicopter family. This dramatic rescue down there in the Auckland Islands.
Amazing story, isn't it?
Phenomenal. Still a developing story. I'm sure we'll get more news coming out tonight. These 3 men, they've gone down, they've survived, found on an Auckland Islands beach. Fantastic stuff, really. So we're looking forward to the full story coming out in tomorrow's paper. Elsewhere on page 1, I think you're going to find a story about Dave Cull, the Dunedin Mayor. It's a willy won't he time. It's local body elections, obviously, coming up. People want to know if Mr Cull is going to stand again. The official quote at this stage is seriously undecided. So people can read into that what they will, but obviously huge interest in Dave and whether he will stand again, and if he won't, who are we going to be voting for later in the year. We've also got a really lovely Anzac Day story. We're 2 days away from Anzac Day, so of course we're into another Anzac Day story. Russell Towns, bit of a local legend, 97 years old, veteran of World War II. We're having a good old catch up with him to look back on his life and his military service. One of those classic Kiwi stories, I guess. People will be very interested in that. And likewise, I think another story that's causing some interest is these temporary roundabouts in Dunedin. I don't know if you've encountered them.
Yeah, I have actually.
I struck one, and I admit I was a little bit confused. I wasn't sure what to do. I mean, I do understand how roundabouts work, but this one caught me on the hop a little bit. So I think that's a growing issue, and I think some people in Dunedin are not particularly happy. So we'll have a bit of a story looking at those, what's going on, and what the future holds. So nothing to get people wound up like parking or roundabouts or driving in general in this city. And that's us.
That's great. Thank you very much, Hayden. Now time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, leaves falling gently to the earth on an autumnal morning. Looking at the situation, a westerly airflow is expected for the next few days, with mostly fine weather, apart from some cloud at times. Rain is set to arrive at the end of the week with stronger winds. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport can expect a cloud or two and highs of 19 degrees. Across to the northeast, Nelson and Blenheim, you're in for a mostly fine day. Your high is predicted to be around 21 degrees. In Canterbury, you might also have occasional clouds in this region. Plan for a high of 16 degrees in Kaikoura and Christchurch. Ashburton, you should have a predicted top temperature of 14 degrees tomorrow. In the southern towns, plan for moderate westerlies and some cloud right across this region. Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore should all reach 15. The Catlins is due to be 1 degree lower on 14. Heading westwards to the Central Lakes, this region mostly follows the light winds and fine weather trend. Wanaka and Queenstown should reach 18 degrees. Queenstown, you're 1 degree below that on 17. While Te Anau, you're looking at a high of 14 degrees with cloudy skies. Up to the northern towns, Twizel and Marama, you have light winds but are otherwise fine on 17 degrees. Slightly cooler for Timaru and Oamaru, as the mercury should only reach 14 where you are. In Dunedin, fine tonight with an overnight low of 8. Mostly fine and sunny tomorrow with scattered light cloud and moderate northeasterly winds, looking at a high of 14 and a low of 6 degrees. Similar weather on Thursday, but milder with a high of 17 and a low of 7 degrees. Heading to Invercargill, cloud increasing tonight with an overnight low of 7. Cloudy tomorrow with a few showers possible during the morning, but sunny periods increasing during the afternoon and moderate westerly winds. Plan for a 14 degree high and a low of 8. Milder northwesterlies freshening on Thursday with cloud increasing and showers at night. A high of 16 and an overnight low of 9 degrees. And that's the news this Tuesday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great evening. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.